Good afternoon, dear students. My name is Mulu Elvis. We shall be looking at Advanced Level History, Paper 3, Section C. That is World History. And I would like us to look at a question that came in June 2018. Please take down the question. The question reads, did the Bill of Rights of 1689 solve the problems of the English people? Did the Bill of Rights of 1689 solve the problem of the English people? So my dear students, you begin by telling the examiner what the Bill of Rights was all about before interpreting the question. And the Bill of Rights was a document that was drawn up by the English Parliament aimed at limiting the powers of the English monarch. That is, the Bill of Rights was a document signed between the Crown and the Parliament, where the powers of the King were limited. This document established parliamentary supremacy in England. This document also brought the long-standing struggle between the Roman Catholic Church and the Protestant Church to an end, and Protestant supremacy was established in England. While the first part of this question shows how the Bill of Rights solved the problem of the English people, the second part shows how the Bill of Rights did not solve the problems of the English people. So let's look at part 1, how the Bill of Rights solved the problems of the English people. How the Bill of Rights solved the problems of the English people is part 1 of this question. So looking at it, we'll understand that dispensing and suspending powers was declared illegal. Dispensing and suspending powers was declared illegal. James II, the tyrant, had assumed dispensing and suspending powers where he ruled England without the consent of the Parliament. For example, in 1687, James II dispensed with Acts of Parliament where the English Parliament became a rubber stamp parliament, and he did not consult Parliament in anything. And later on, he also suspended the laws of England, where he appointed Sir Edward Hayes, a Roman Catholic, as commissioner in the English army. This was a violation of the Test Act of 1673, which forbade Catholics from holding public office in England. The Bill of Rights also stated that keeping a standing army in peacetime was declared illegal. Keeping a standing army in peacetime was declared illegal. It should be noted that James II had kept a standing army of 30,000 soldiers, but the Bill of Rights declared this illegal. The Bill of Rights also stated that the king could no longer leave England at will. The king could no longer leave England without the consent of the English Parliament, as James II had done. And in addition, the Bill of Rights stated that the king's account was to be separate from that of the state. Even his weekly list for his daily consumption had to pass through Parliament for censorship so as to curtail excess expenditure. This was due to the fact that James II did not have any separate account from that of the state, but the state account was equally that of the king, and so there were a lot of excesses on the part of the king. The Bill of Rights equally stated that the Ecclesiastical Commission Courts and the Third Chamber of the North, which James II re-established in 1686 in order to punish his opponents, was declared illegal. Talking about parliamentary elections, the Bill of Rights stated that parliamentary elections will be organized frequently. And furthermore, the Bill of Rights stated that the king could no longer interfere in elections, land matters, and debate. And in addition, the king could no longer appoint and dismiss judges at will, as James II had done during his tenure in office. Talking about the issue of succession, the Bill of Rights stated that after Mary, the crown will go to Princess Anne, her younger sister, and her descendants. So after examining part 1 of this discourse, my dear students, we tell the examiner that he will be historically wrong to say that the Bill of Rights totally solved the problem of the English people, because there were equally some limitations. Then part 2 now, you show how the Bill of Rights did not solve the problems of the English people, bringing out some limitations. The first thing we shall look on part 2 of this question is that the king still had the powers to appoint and dismiss ministers and judges at will. the king still had the power to appoint and dismiss ministers and judges at will, and the king still had the powers to leave England without the consent of the parliament. For example, William of Orange or William III spent most of his time with his Dutch advisors. The king still had the power to interfere in elections, land matters, and debates. The king still had the power to interfere in elections, land matters, and debates. And the Bill of Rights stated that keeping a standing army in peacetime was declared illegal, as James II had done, creating a standing army of 30,000 soldiers. The Bill of Rights declared this illegal. Yet, the Mutiny Act of 1689 was passed, which gave the king the powers to keep a standing army for the internal security of England. This was a violation of the Bill of Rights, or a contradiction of the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights equally failed to understand that there were three kingdoms, that is England, Scotland, and Ireland. And so the people of Ireland failed to recognize William of Orange as their king because their interest wasn't taken into consideration. And talking about the issue of succession, the Bill of Rights vaguely stated that after Mary, the crown will go to Princess Anne and her descendants. But they failed to understand that Princess Anne could lose all her children, and so Princess Anne lost all her children. That was why the Act of Settlement of 1701 stated that after Anne, the crown will go to Princess Sophia. Princess Sophia was the granddaughter of James I, who was married to an elector of Hanover. So my dear students, take this very serious. This is a very easy and straightforward question, but at times most students always go off topic. This question could also be asked in the following ways: to what extent did the Bill of Rights limit the powers of the English monarch? They can also put it in that way: to what extent did the Bill of Rights limit the powers of the English monarch? Justify the view that the revolutionary settlements of 1689 to 1701 limited the powers of the English monarch. So those are alternative questions. So my dear students, from the above you can see that the glorious revolution was only, or the overthrow of James II was only a means to an end and not an end in itself, because there were a lot of problems that the English people still had to do. Even talking about parliamentary elections, the Bill of Rights vaguely stated that elections will be organized frequently, but failed to give the lifespan of the English parliament. It was down to the Triennial Act of 1694, which stated that parliamentary elections will be organized after every 3 years. 3 years, so much so that within this period, the king would not be that close so as to influence parliament. Later on, the English people complained that elections were too frequent. That was why in 1716, the Septennial Act was passed, which placed the lifespan of the English parliament to be 7 years. Again, the same English people complained that 7 years was too long, and that was why in 1911 the Act of Parliament was implemented, which stated that parliamentary elections will be organized after every 5 years. This makes us to understand that the Glorious Revolution was not just an event, but it was a process, because it took the English people a very long time to determine the lifespan of their parliament. And that's why we keep on saying that the overthrow of James II was only a means to an end and not an end in itself. Or we keep on saying that the overthrow of James II made the English people glad but not happy, because they had a lot of things to put in place before they started enjoying the benefits of overthrowing a tyrant. So my dear students, after examining all of this, you conclude by saying that the Bill of Rights did not totally solve the problem of the English people, because there was still much left undone. Therefore, the overthrow of James II was only a means to an end and not an end in itself. That's all about the question. It's a very short and straightforward question. Take note. Thanks for your kind attention as we meet tomorrow for other interesting questions.